Okay, we're going to move right to the section of the agenda where we have reports and presentations, and I turn the mic over to Dr. Chase.
Good evening. Thank you, all of you who are here in person. It's so great to see our educators and our school leaders at our board meeting. I can get used to this. I thank those who are watching at home for joining our board meeting. We do have one presentation this evening, and it's the committee that worked on enhancing our code of conduct. They are here. I know they've worked hard all day, and they've worked very, very hard on this particular document, their process, and some of the changes and enhancements they've made before the board actually votes on said policy. And I think that that is the wise thing to do, is to give an explanation and also allow for Q&A. So under the leadership of our Director for Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging, I give you all Miss Natalie Nelson, Esquire.
There you go. Free mic.
Thank you.
Great.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Warren. Greetings, bienvenidos, bonsoir, esteemed members of the board, Dr. Chase, administrators. We have teachers, parents, community members. I am Natalie Nelson, your District Director of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, Belonging, and Special Programs. And tonight, I am joined by the talented and dedicated Diversity Committee who has worked extremely hard on our Code of Conduct. Tonight, I'm not going to tell you something that you don't know. We all know that Westbury's commitment to diversity and knowing that diversity is its strength is one of our greatest assets. And so, because of that, we have spent the last several months revising and enhancing our code of conduct with an equity lens to ensure that all of our scholars are able to achieve, be safe, thrive, and achieve a sense of belonging. So as you hear this presentation, you'll get to understand a little bit more about our journey and how our policy is going to bring to life your mission and the vision of our district.
Thank you, Ms. Nelson. Good evening, Board of Education. Greetings to our superintendent and assistant superintendents. My name is Evelyn Bunger. I am the assistant principal at Powell's Lane School. The collaborative efforts in the Code of Conduct Committee came about from conversations that took place at the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging Committee meetings. Our Code of Conduct Committee is composed of several members from across the district, including some of our high school scholars. Our scholars were honored this morning and were given medals. Right here, pictured some of them. They will receive the Seal of Civic Readiness. Yes. Their input and participation in the Code of Conduct review process was part of their learning experience in order to receive this seal. The Code of Conduct Committee has met over the past 4 months to review and revise the Code of Conduct. The process began by reading and discussing the content of other New York State codes of conduct. As we reviewed, read, and discussed and vision statement, it was important to revise and include these 5 elements, as you can see here on the screen, in the Code of Conduct. promoting restorative and preventative approaches to discipline, include containing explicit diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging statements, keeping track of discipline data in order to monitor exclusionary discipline procedures, containing a range of responses to misconduct and including alternatives to suspension, along with the inclusion of language that upholds respect for all cultural expression. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm sure the burning question is, why enhance our already fabulous code of conduct? Well, the answer is simple, for two main reasons. The State Department of Education says so. That's one of the first reasons. According to the New York State Department of Education, in order for a district that really espouses equity, we have to make sure that we are truly creating an environment that is welcoming and affirming. And under their definition, this is what they say. They say that all stakeholders, including teachers, school district, board, and building leaders and parents, need to be involved in a periodic review of a code of conduct, as well as spend some time at least looking at research-based practices that promote behavior that is positive. And so that was one of our major thrusts. Second, within the last several years, there have been quite a few laws that have come about that have been particularly designed to protect and recognize the culture and diversity of all of our students in New York State. For example, the two main ones are the Dignity for All Students Act. Now, while that had been out for a long time, within the last 7 years, they came up with an amendment particularly to protect our scholars from cyberbullying, as well as discrimination based on gender, based on race, based on religion. Even more recently, in 2019, the Crown Act came around, and that act really meant to describe and really meant to espouse and support students based on their natural hair textures and hairstyles, that they shouldn't be discriminated, that they should feel free and really love who they are. And so we had to take those considerations, yes, I see you, we had to take those considerations in mind when we were crafting this new code of conduct. And as you see, those are the recent laws. And even in 2022, 2023, last fall, the New York State, the Education Department came up with a specific policy with regard to supporting LGBT students. And so we wanted to make sure we honored all of what New York State has required.
Good evening. DASA, the Dignity Act for All Students, seeks to provide a safe, supportive environment free of discrimination and intimidation for all students, as well as including cyberbullying and other New York State laws that have been addressed in the Dignity Act overall. They put an emphasis on how it's important for all students to feel safe in an environment where they're being educated.
I think we have the next one. Good evening. What are our students' behavior expectations? So when you take a look at the range of behavioral interventions for administrative actions, I'll just take you back to the first iteration that we had of the Code of Conduct. Mr. Gaines, you might remember, back in the day, if you did something, there was only one consequence. You got suspended, or this happened, or that happened. There wasn't a range of options that we had. So one thing we did many years ago was we put in a minimum and a maximum that gave us a range of possibilities of things that we could do based on, I mean, some you don't have an opportunity that are based on what the state has, but those that we have the flexibility, we did that. And that worked very well. And now, as Ms. Nelson has told you, all the latest equity laws and everything that have come has forced us to look at it through another lens of equity, which now we have to apply all of these different laws, which is fine because that's the evolution of what you have with Code of Conduct, because life is changing. So it has to adapt also. So when you take a look at all those lenses, we asked ourselves the questions: what is the same? What is different? What needs to be adjusted? And once we realized minimum, maximum, we had some good conversations about that, but that was working. And now we had to address things that weren't there back in 1990, 1980. Cyberbullying, use of cell phones. When I was in school, cell phones didn't exist. Social media usage. And topics of conversation are now about pros and cons, what's good, what's bad. The latest talk that they have now is they're trying to what? Ban cell phones in schools again. Rather than maybe we need to teach them how to use it responsibly. Cyberbullying. Dr. Chase, I don't know if you sent that message, because now you can go into an anonymous chat room and send something. We don't know who sent it, which now means we have to engage law enforcement to go on the backside and look up data. I could go on and tell you about those things. Cell phones in class. There are academic reasons that you can use a cell phone constructively in the classroom. But then there are other ways where it can become destructive as far as behavior and other things. Social media. We love it. We love to look at Instagram, text, all that. We flick all day long. But at some point it crosses a line where it becomes destructive. We have to figure out where those lines are. But until society, parents, everyone becomes engaged, we have to find some kind of line of flexibility that we can operate and manage and maintain the environment that we have in school. So it's ongoing, never-ending conversation that continues to evolve with, and I'm going to hit you. What's the latest one? AI. Chew on that one for a while and see what that means. AI is a whole nother ball game that everything we've done now, wait till that kicks in. So when you take a look, also, how are we responding to student behavior? The main thing that we've realized is you've got to strengthen relationships between individuals as well as social connections. We've got to make connections with our students, ladies and gentlemen. This is the main thing that we have to do. We have to get to know our community and our students in a way that we can change and manage their behavior. What will continue to move the needle? Restorative practices. It's focused on building and maintaining positive relationships among students, teachers, and staff by encouraging open communication and mutual respect, fosters a supportive and inclusive school environment that helps students feel valued and understood. And this can significantly enhance the overall school experience and academic performance. And if you don't believe it, you should see it in action. It works. Is this beneficial? Is this something that we need to do? Yes, it's absolutely essential. Creates a positive and inclusive and equitable environment that supports the academic and personal growth of all students. How does it do that? It addresses the underlying causes of misconduct. It's not, hey, you did this, let's talk about why and how we can restore and say, maybe give you alternatives, put you in mediation. There's so many things that can be done to minimize and mitigate that behavior, and that's what we have to work on. And it's a culture of respect and accountability. And accountability not just by us, but by parents, by the community. We're all in this together. And that is what restorative practice is about. It's how we all get together and move the needle. And I know we're short on time, so we'll move on. And that is my part. Thank you all for listening. And on to my next partner.
Good evening, everyone. You may be wondering how we're getting the code of conduct into the hands of the community. Obviously, you know that it's so important for us that all stakeholders have an active part of this, be involved, and be really that they really understand it. So you'll notice that the code of conduct is written in plain language. It will be translated and posted on the district website in multiple languages. Our plans are to distribute it during September faculty meetings. It will be included in the summer mailing that will go out to all of our scholars and their families. It will be distributed at Meet the Teacher Night and school-wide assemblies in the elementary schools, and also distributed during high school advisory and grade level meetings in the middle and the high schools. If you'll allow me a moment for our families watching at home, I'll translate that into Spanish. Este comité ha trabajado muy duro por todo este año escolar para asegurar que vamos a tener un código de conducto que refleja las leyes del Estado de Nueva York y los cambios en nuestra sociedad, y también queremos que nuestra comunidad forme parte de este proceso, que tengan una voz y que sean escuchados. Estará escrito en un lenguaje sencillo para que todos puedan entender el código. Será traducido y publicado en la página web de nuestro distrito en los idiomas dominantes de nuestra comunidad. Será distribuido durante las reuniones entre padres y maestros en septiembre. Vamos a incluir el código de conducto en el correo con toda la información que va a los hogares de nuestros estudiantes y sus familias. También será distribuido en la noche de conocer a las maestras en septiembre y en las asambleas escolares de los edificios primarias y durante las clases de asesoramiento y asambleas de nivel de grado en nuestro Westbury Middle School y Westbury High School.
Reflected on my part this evening, talking about the code of conduct. I wanted to present this slide here and draw your attention to where it says, at the end of the day, the most overwhelming key to a child's success is positive involvement of the parents. Having been in the district for over 23 years, I can say that we, meaning a community, always put parents first or include them in the conversation. Because without parents creating what we're building and how we're moving forward, we would be nothing. We would be nothing. So we really appreciate our parents partnering with us in all that we do. And when we do that, we know that students will improve academically, attendance will improve, we will see better positive behavior from students, and overall a positive school experience. So we really thank you.
And thus concludes our presentation. And if you so humbly approve our enhanced code of conduct, you can look forward to our families and us working collaboratively to ensure that we are reviewing our code of conduct. We intend to have parent workshops, and every year we will spend a bit of time giving input and providing input to the community so that we can ensure that we're doing our periodic reviews as required. Thank you all and appreciate it.
Ms. Nelson, you have a very diverse group, a very diverse committee, and by diverse, I mean they represent different areas of our school
Yes.
district. Who are they?
That's an excellent question, and that was very intentional. We wanted to make sure we had a cadre representing every stakeholder in our school community. So we have, not only do we have building leaders, we actually had one building principal who is actually currently becoming a grandpa. His daughter is actually delivering. She's delivering now, so he could not be here. So we had building administrators, we have assistant principals, and I will say them by name. We have Mrs. Bunger, assistant principal of Powell's Lane. We have Mr. Warren, assistant principal of the high school. We have other assistant principals. We have, of course, Dr. Morales, assistant principal of the middle school. And this is just a representation tonight of who is here, but the entire committee also consisted of many more representatives. It's about 20 of us on the team, as well as 3 students who, as we said before, received their seal of civic readiness because they participated in this process. We also have counselors. We couldn't do this work without the support of our counselors. So we have Mr. Holmes. We have our guidance counselor, Ms. Grenard. She's representing the elementary school counselor, I'm sorry, I stand corrected. We have our lead special education teachers. We have classroom teachers. We have Mrs. Quiros from our kindergarten school. We have Ms. Lynette Blades. They're also representing kindergarten. We have FACE representatives. So FACE is our major way of increasing parent and family engagement. And for us, accessibility in multiple language is one of our major initiatives. So we thank Ms. Basitas, who is our sole parent liaison, but she does the work for many. And in addition to her, we also had Glennis Larios, who could not be here tonight, representing the community. And did I forget anyone else? I don't think so, but we really were intentional to make sure that all voices really came in and to do a thorough review, because the truth is we understand that the work of building scholars and raising them to be their best selves and bringing out their genius takes a village. And so each one of us, along with our parents, we cannot wait to do this work in the fall. So we just hope that you allow us and approve this new enhanced code of conduct.
So I would like to thank each of you for your hard work and your dedication to this work, and for your thoughtfulness, and for understanding that it is time that we identify diverse ways, diverse pathways to redirect behavior. And for recognizing that there isn't just one path. You know how I feel, especially Mr. Warren knows, I do not like putting kids out of school. That is not the answer. So thank you so much for your work, and I appreciate your leadership, Ms. Nelson. I believe there could be some questions from the board, from those who are in the audience, or maybe even those who are watching us virtually. Are there any virtual questions? Or from my trustees?
I actually have a question, and first I want to commend you for the work that you have done, for the effort you put into it, the thought and effort and energy you put into it. I think the last slide really resonates with me, which is the parent engagement. And if there's one thing that I have seen since I've been on the board for the last 8 years is that the more work that we do as a district to provide channels for the parents to engage with us, before to, I think, my fellow board members, the administrative team as well, but in some of you as well, that I believe that we could more of face members, because currently I think we have 2 members, maybe down to 1. I'm not certain. 3? 3 now, okay. That's awesome. I didn't know that. That's phenomenal news. And I think the more that you have, I think that, you'll be able to get more engagement. And I truly have seen it personally, but I've seen it with other families, that when we engage the parent, the return in terms of the engagement of the student is so much higher. And you've proven that, and I hope that you continue to increase your return on investment. And I wish you the best. Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess we're going to close on that, but let me just add my thanks to Dr. Chase and to Trustee Quintanilla for the work you've done. And I want you to know that I am really proud of our district and our taking on initiatives like this. And when I talk to my colleagues, so far ahead of them, that it really does make that. Without that kind of support, people may feel like you're stepping on toes, or rubbing in some sensitive areas. Progress comes. You gotta break some shells to scramble eggs, right? So thank you for the work you do. And we look forward to you coming back here with more progress reports.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Chase, are there any other reports?
So what was mentioned by this fantastic committee of educators was that today the Westbury School District embarked upon yet another inaugural event. We issued the Seal of Civic Readiness distinction to a group of scholars today. And I'm not going to butcher it, so I'm going to let Mr. Gallivan speak to it. But I will say this. This is something that we've been wanting to do. We finally made it happen, and I could not be more proud at the number of scholars who will receive that distinction. So take it away.
So it was a wonderful day at the high school for a lot of reasons. So we started the day with a celebration and ended the day with a celebration. The first celebration of the day was who earned the New York State Education Department Seal of Civic Readiness.
Can you repeat that number again, please?
I can. It was 154 scholars who earned the New York State Seal of Civic Readiness. And so in order to earn that seal, our scholars had to complete specific coursework, complete a capstone project, and also be involved in impactful community work, thoughtful engagement, such as being part of this work that's produced an enhanced, revised code of conduct that is another way of saying they want to be involved in the quality of life at their high school. So a wonderful achievement. Once again, this morning, They'll be proudly, these scholars will be proudly wearing these at graduation, but 154 students earned their Seal of Civic Readiness. I have to shout out the entire Westbury High School Social Studies Department. Mr. Zoya and Ms. Folo in particular seem to take a lead on this work, and yet again, couldn't be prouder of what's going on at Westbury High School.
And so while you have the hot seat, Mr. Gallivan, there was another celebration this afternoon that was heartfelt, and it was a bit teary-eyed in that library today. And do you want to speak about another first for Westbury High School?
I would love to speak about another first. It involves Ms. Barnett making students cry. I'm just kidding. As Dr. Chase, actually I'm not kidding, that happened. But as Dr. Chase mentioned, there was another significant achievement this afternoon, and it did bring some real heartfelt feelings and hugs and tears. And so there's, I think Mr. Zimbler said that there's been a desire to have an electrical department at Westbury High School for at least 8 years. And so we began quite recently, this is another first, this is an inaugural year of this program, an electric program that took place after school. And some of our students, some of the scholars, if you could see their faces, their pride, some of these scholars not only worked a full day school, they squeezed in this program after school before they went to work, before they went to track practice. And today we honored, I believe, 12, forgive me if I don't get the number correct, but we will publicize make sure my number's accurate, but I believe we honored 12 scholars today who earned this sort of recognition in this skill that they're going to take with them. Just a wonderful, wonderful event.
The busiest time, the most tiring time, but it's the most festive time of year where we get to celebrate all the awesome things that we've worked so hard for. One more, another first at Westbury. Today was Math Mania. So if you love the spelling bee, wait until you hear about Math Mania. I'm going to pass that to Ms. Robin Barnett.
Good evening, everyone. First annual Math Mania competition in which our 1st through 5th grade scholars participated in a district-wide math competition. We had 2 scholars from each grade level represented, and they were phenomenal. You were able to see all of their strategy work in practice as our scholars answered the math problems before the teachers were even able to start the timer, and they were answering them accurately each and every time. It was an honor to see all of our scholars compete today and to see and celebrate with our families who all came out to participate in the event. And while we know that we only had a small representation of families here on site with us at Westbury Middle School, we had a tremendous viewing through our live stream as well. So thank you to everyone who came out for our 1st annual Math Mania competition. And I'd like to give a special congratulations to Dr. Watt, who is our district-wide chairperson for mathematics, who organized the entire event and is looking for ways to expand it next year, bringing our youngest learners, our pre-K and kindergartners, up into our competition and expanding upwards to our middle school and high school scholars. Middle school and high school, just wait till you see what is coming up to you from our elementary programs.
And I've had one more announcement. I know, Dr. Bloom, there is a recruitment fair coming up. Do you just want to share with the community and those who might even be interested in joining the fabulous Westbury School District family? They could be watching, because they do watch the meetings first, right, to get a feel of the district. Can you just talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. On Thursday, June 13th at 4:30 p.m. here at the Westbury High School, we will be hosting our annual employment recruitment fair. Take place from 4:30 to 6 o'clock. We have been advertising the event throughout social media at local colleges and universities, and already I believe there are about 150 candidates that are already registered to attend the event, and we are searching for all different types of positions, from teaching positions to teaching assistants to teacher aides to nurses, permanent substitutes, food service helpers, you name it, we are looking for it, and we're inviting all candidates to come down, learn more about the Westbury Union Free School District, participate in a short screening interview, and we are excited. We have had several employees over the past several years hired just from attending one of these events and then moving forward in the process, and we're looking forward to doing the same. So please spread the word. It is all throughout social media. It is getting fantastic traction, and we're looking forward to this Thursday. Thank you.
Mr. President, that concludes my report.
Thank you all. Does anybody in the audience have any questions or comments for the board? Please come to the mic. You can come to the mic, Ms. McGibbon.
Chester McGibbon, 502 Alicia Drive. Now I'm just wondering how good initiatives like the Math Mania, how do you advertise these things? Why are they kept a secret?
Thank you, Mr. McGibbon. That is great feedback that some of our community members aren't aware of all of the wonderful things that are going on to be able to join us on site. So we do try to advertise through various methodologies. We post on our social media sites. We have pop-ups on our website, but we're always welcome to feedback for new ways to reach out to our community so that we can make sure that they are fully engaged in all of our events. We have so many wonderful things going on in our district. We really want to ensure that everyone knows about them and has access to them. So if you have any recommendations, please reach out so we can add those methods of communication to our wheelhouse as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments? Anyone in the chat? Okay. Seeing none, we will move on. I'm now going to ask the board for a motion to go in executive session to discuss items of personnel. We will be in executive session no later than 11 o'clock. When we come out of executive session, there will be no votes taking place. Yes. Yeah, I just offered that opportunity to the public, and questions or comments, and only you came up. Is anybody else, if this wasn't clear, does anyone else have any questions or comments?
I thought that was specific to the presentation.
Oh, no.
Chester McGibbon, 502 Alicia Drive. Mr. President, there has been reports that there is a decline in enrollment in schools.
I'm sorry, what?
A decline in enrollment in schools nationally. And the data shows that here on Long Island, or 125 school districts, have seen I think it's an 83% decline in enrollment. I'm not sure if our school district is included in that 83%? And if so, how will this impact our budget and what's left of our strategic plan?
Yeah, I'm going to ask Dr. Chase to respond to that, but you may recall that in the budget presentation, we pointed out that there was a decline in enrollment. That's a decline that started actually with COVID and has continued. We were at one point close to 5,200 students. We're now down to, I think, 4,300? 4,700? Okay. 4,700. And that did have an impact on our budget this year, in that many retiring teachers, we didn't have the student body to support replacing them. Anything you want to add to that, Dr. Chase?
Oh, I thought your answer was great. Thank you. So I think Mr. Troiano just summed it up very, very well. And I think you also approached your question very well. I'm in contact with superintendents around the country. I have to say that although we are beginning to see a slight decline in our enrollment, and you never know when that decline will just automatically increase, but there are schools across the nation that are shutting down. Westbury is nowhere near that, and we do recognize that. And when there are areas where there may not necessarily be a need, we've filled that particular need in other areas. So we've been very creative in looking at where we may be deficient in one area, we can fulfill in another. And I just think that, my team and the board and I have done a fantastic job in making sure that we're not impacting student programs, we're not impacting our staffing, and that we're able to maintain those things that we just absolutely love about our school district.
So what's left of our, the remainder of our strategic plan will not have to be re-engineered?
So I think we've reached our sunset of the strategic plan. And during the retreat, the school board, my fabulous administration team, and I myself will be talking about planning for our upcoming strategic plan.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just have the employee benefit accrued liability reserve. I'm not quite sure if I understand it. Is this being paid to? Could you just explain that a little more for me, please?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure I understood the question. On 7E, you said?
Yes, 7E. It's the EBLAR withdrawal authorization, the sum of $680,000.
I'm sorry, and what is your question about that, though?
What is it about? That is, could you just explain that for me?
Yeah.
Is it money that was owed to people, or what is it?
Mr. McGibbon, I want to answer your question correctly. I don't want to give you the incorrect response. This item was put on by our business official. Let me just get back to you with a more clear answer, if you don't mind. Thank you.
Okay.
I will say that that's not an unusual, I should say, accounting entry. We put money into EBLAR to provide for occasions like this. So it's pre-funded, and this just represents our taking money out to pay an expense. This occurs every year.
Or you'll get back to me.
Thank you.
I'm not quite sure if.
Oh, okay, now I got it. Okay, I'm sorry. So when individuals retire in our school district, oftentimes there are incentives that they are given upon retirement. Those incentives could be payouts, it could be a variety of things. So this is really, this is actually the payout for those timely manner.
It says something about absence. What is that?
When you say
How
absence?
That's what it read. It said
So
something.
basically, in our contract, there are people who will receive a payout because they have saved absences. And so as a result of that, they receive a payout. And we want to make sure that we can compensate them per their contract.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Is that helpful?
Yes, yes.
I'm so happy.
And my last question has to do with item 7Q. It's about the extension of services, the contract for Amaroq Food Services.
I'm sorry, sir. What's the question?
My recollection of this issue dates back to, I think, last year or a year before, when the predecessor, Whitson, left, and Amaroq was brought in on a contingency basis, is my understanding of the issue. to pinch hit, so to speak, and it was supposed to be temporary. I see now that they have been awarded a year's extension. And
That
the
is
reason why I brought this up is that this multi-million-dollar company that operates all over the world have been involved in all sorts of litigation, from environmental issues, serving unwholesome foods to the school districts that they're contracted to. I believe they were fired from 2 over the world that they've been. There's a long history of litigations that they're involved in, including class action suits for a variety of reasons, from whistleblowers, insanitary conditions at their facilities, and the list goes on. And I am just wondering if, as a matter of fact, we had an instance here when one of the employees had to publicly apologize to the community here. I'm just wondering why do we find them so attractive? Did we propose a request for a proposal for other schools or other food services? And if so, is that list available? And what is the attraction with this company that we have other districts found to be distasteful?
So I think I'm going to try to answer your multi-level, multi-tiered question, and please tell me if I missed anything in doing so. So this is to extend the contract of Aramark, and I will say that at each school site, at each hospital site, at each business site, there are food service managers, and these are employees by our Aramark employees. We have not had any major issues. We do undergo inspections by the Department of Health, and if we are cited for anything, those small details will be rectified immediately, and we haven't had any major issues with Aramark. In addition, the gentleman that you referred to who once worked for Aramark is no longer here, and you are right. He did make a comment, and he did publicly apologize. I think it takes a very strong person, and it takes integrity and good character to stand before a community and apologize, and he did that. But he's no longer with us, and he is someplace else, and he is thriving in his new location of where he is. But like I said, we haven't had any issues that I would think that are egregious, that we will need to discontinue our relationship with Aramark. If we have concerns, which we have, because they're not perfect, we bring it to the attention of our Aramark employees. They rectify it, and we immediately address it, and we carry on. So we have not seen any issues that you've talked about that's happening in other places around the country. I'm sure all the other companies, I don't want to call out any companies because I don't think it's appropriate to call out companies, but I'm sure there are issues with all of the companies, and a lot has to do with the person who is managing the particular site. But I think we have a pretty good site manager. I think we've developed a pretty healthy relationship with that site manager. We have conversations with that person. That person also meets with our scholars. In fact, that individual actually met with our scholars, with my superintendent, SAC. The kids made recommendations, my scholars made recommendations, and those recommendations were implemented immediately. I also see where Aramark is also quite considerate to our DEI plus B needs. We now have halal menu items for children who require such a dietary need. I have actually had 2 superintendents I'm responding, because it's not a commercial, I don't work for them. There's no kickback. But I've actually had 2 superintendents, both on Long Island in Nassau County, to ask about Aramark, and one of the superintendents actually went with Aramark, not just based on what I said, but based on a variety of superintendents' comments. So that's where we stand with Aramark. And I'm going to ask my board to continue the relationship that we have with them.
Yes, Madam Superintendent, that might be so. We're talking about individuals in a company. I'm talking about the culture of a company where at its nucleus they seem to almost involve in race baiting. And it is not only in, it's easy, we have counsel, we have legal-minded people on the board. It's not hard to research these things. And as I said, when you discount a population of students by serving, almost ingratiating yourself, I don't find that at all anything to embrace. And it's not hard to just do some research and see around the globe where this company, the core values of this company, that is what I'm talking about. Why are they involved in so many litigations around the globe? And it's not hard to research. So I'm just asking you, please, take a look at it. And if it's not good for other school districts, I don't think they should be good for Westbury.
Mr.
And that's
McGibbons,
all I'm saying.
Sure. I thank you for your comment, and I will do the proper and responsible search and not just crap that people put on social media about a company because they don't like them.
Not
but I will
social
do the
media.
proper. Yeah, I will do the proper search, and we do have our attorney here, and I'm sure her firm can assist with any information that you've brought to our attention. You know, we'll definitely look into that. But I will say again, we have not experienced, hasn't been brought to my knowledge of what you're describing that's happening in other places here at Westbury. And I want to assure you that if I know that there are behaviors that do not coincide with our mission of diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging in our school district, I will have a very, very frank conversation with my school board about their standing. So we have not seen that here. I have not experienced it. It has not been brought to my attention. I don't believe it's been brought to my school board attention because they would have definitely brought it to mine. But if that should happen, please be assured that we will be on top of it. We don't
I
tolerate
assure
that.
you the active and current class action suit that's going on, federal class action suit, will pop up in your research. You will find it out, Mr. Trustee. It's not hard. If I can find it, you can find it also. Where is it? It's a national class action suit involving, I can't recall right now, but it will pop up. I think it's somewhere in Pennsylvania. No, it's involving the employees in the company because of unfair labor practices and other stuff like that. We don't need to be dealing with this company. Say that again, sir. Could you use the mic, please?
You're talking about the issue of involuntary servitude with prisoners?
No, it's involved wages and environmental practices and so forth. It will come up. I'm not gonna recount it right here.
No,
Do your due diligence, you'll find
I'm
it.
asking to streamline the process so I can find it and so I can read it.
You
So I
will
can
find it,
information.
Mr. Trustee.
I'm not challenging you, I'm asking questions.
What class action issue you're asking me? What is it? You will find it. Look it up. You'll find it. Thank you. I will send it to you. Thanks.
Thank you.
I did have just a couple of questions. Isabella Hamilton Lomax, 565 Jefferson Street. So I did notice that there are some RFPs for project work that's going to be going around in the different schools. Just looking for an update on the middle school entrance. It seemed like it's been pretty inactivity there for a couple of weeks. Inactivity. middle school, when are they going to complete the renovation of the entrance?
There is still in the works. It should be done by the school year. There are other things that are going on with respect to the project.
The end of the school year? Because there hasn't been any.
No, I said
Okay.
for the beginning of the school year.
I think I mentioned this to Mr. Keynes, just the auditorium in the middle school. There seems to be an issue with the air condition and the lights that keep flicking on and off every few minutes. So I don't know if that came up.
Yeah, we're aware of that. We're looking into that. So thank you. And that
Okay.
was brought to my attention today, but I'm aware of that. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. And this is new. This was on News 12 this morning about New York State relaxing, perhaps, the guidelines for having regents in order to graduate. So I was just wondering, how would that hopefully positively impact graduation rates? Or if we're looking at that, or what our plans are with that?
I appreciate that question. Thank you. New York State is looking at right now. There's no plan to do away with Regents exams, but they are looking at different pathways for students to demonstrate their learning. And as a district who are implementing alternate pathways or alternate ways for students to demonstrate their commitment to their community or their civic learning, such as in earning this New York State Seal of Civic Readiness, that's one of the ways New York State is thinking of having students demonstrate their learning with real world implications, and also the recognition will come as opposed to offering. This is the proposal, as you say.
Yeah,
Nothing's etched in stone, but these are some of the things that are being considered at the state level. So rather than having different distinctions of Regents exams, they're thinking of having a graduation, a diploma certificate, and with other distinctions possible too, such as the Seal of Biliteracy or the Seal of Civic Readiness, or other pathways that could include lived work experience, et cetera. It's in the works. Nothing has changed for this year, and all reports are that they're not interested in getting rid of Regents examinations at this point, but as I mentioned, looking through alternative pathways. And yes, I think as a district we are excited about different
This time every year. What are the plans for summer enrichment? Will there be summer enrichment, or when will that notification be going home to parents?
Thank you, Ms. Lomax. So we are completely revitalizing our summer program offerings, and it is going to be phenomenal. So we've got a couple of different programs that we're going to be offering. The first is the Summer Academy for Interdisciplinary Learning that targets scholars who are currently in grades K through 7. It is an invite program, so we will be identifying students across all of the grade levels who will be invited to participate in that program. We're looking to serve just about 530 students, and we've partnered with Catalyst Academics that they are actually authoring a curriculum for us, for our specific students, that truly integrates literacy, numeracy, science, history, technology, and SEL, so that we can meet the whole child where they are. And we actually have our fabulous lead teacher here in the room with us, Ms. Blades. Ms. Blades, if you want to give a wave. She is the point person for this program. Within this program, we also have an ENL cohort for our students who are in our transitional bilingual program or integrated ENL program, and that will be focused on language acquisition through the content area learning. So it will be the same standards of learning with a heavy emphasis on language. We are also offering our Westbury Future Makers Academy for Unique Learners, which is our program that targets our students who have 12-month IEPs, and that is led by Ms. Kashana Clyburn as our lead teacher for that program, and she has historically done a phenomenal job with this program, so we're very excited to have her back. All of the programs are being oversaw by Ms. Lorraine Massione, so you can reach out to any of the leaders of these programs, and this year we're also going to be offering what we are calling the Westbury Active Zone Summer Academy for Intramural and Athletics. It's going to be a week-long program in the month of August. It will host about 200 students in grades K through, again, 7, rising 1st through 8th grade. And that will be an opportunity for our scholars to come in and to learn about different sports and really build up their athletic capacity, get that energy out as we prepare for our new school year. So we're very, very excited about all of our new offerings, and we really think that the reimagining is going to be transformative for our scholars.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Okay, thank you. Can I have a motion to go in executive session to discuss items of personnel? I
So
anticipate
moved.
that we will be out of executive session by 11 o'clock. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by trustee Quintanilla, I believe. Second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Bowling. It's been moved and seconded. Ayes, trustee Quintanilla.
Aye.
Trustee Keynes.
Aye.
Trustee Bowling.
Aye.
Vice President Ewing.
Aye.
And I, Robert Troiano, vote aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Not aware. Somebody told me that. Since I haven't seen.
We ready, IT? Okay, thank you. Call the meeting back to order. It's now 11:39. Can I have a motion come out of executive session?
So moved.
Been moved by Vice
Second.
President Ewing. Do we have a second?
Second.
Trustee Keynes?
Aye.
Trustee Bowling?
Aye.
Vice President Ewing?
Aye.
And I, Robert Troiano, vote aye. Motion carries unanimously. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Trustee Bowling, seconded by
Second, Trustee Quintanilla.
Trustee Quintanilla. Aye. Trustee Quintanilla.
Aye.
Trustee Keynes.
Aye.
Trustee Bowling. Vice President Ewing.
Aye.
And I, Robert Troiano, vote aye. Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you and good night.